Okay, this is a quickie on the Elixir, the experiences, from 2011, the Elixir of Immortality by Robert Koch, a modern day alchemist. Well, he asked people to try and replicate the Green Lion, Red Lion, great work. Well, this is what happens when you what happens is that it's a 3 test tube problem, and when you're doing the great work, you get what's called the philosopher's stone jump or jiggle or knocking of your test tube as it's been heated. If you overheat it, it starts to jump, and the material inside starts to jump and starts to knock about, because it's quite dense. And as it turns into the elixir, it even gets even more dense, because it's an unknown element that nobody knows what it is, because it's never been tested. And when it gets too dense, this is what happens to your test tube, as I know from 2011. As you can see there, you might just better see it, the yellow, and there's white as well. That's the change in density, is the yellow and white. If you've read the book, you'll know. But what happens is, the test tube, as the density increases and the material starts to morph into the elixir, which is a heavier element that's unknown, what happens is, if it jumps too much and it's so dense, it breaks your test tube, it smashes it to pieces, and that's exactly what's happened here. And you can see the bands of white and yellow, and you can see it smashed the test tube, which is why you don't heat it too much. Never let your test tube, the material inside, as you're heating it, start to jump, because when it gets more and more dense, as it turns into this elixir, this unknown element, what happens is it busts your test tube. So always use a lot lower temperature, and try not to rush the process, and make sure that the material inside of the great work doesn't start jumping. Because as it gets denser and denser, as it changes into the elixir, it gets, it starts to smash your test tubes. Anyway, that's tricks of the trade. But it's extremely difficult to make, and I won't recommend it unless you're experienced in distillation or whatever. But very interesting. Robert Koch, the Elixir of Immortality, and it's great, fantastic book.